Your metabolism is not broken, it's underfed. Day after day, most of us eat the same grocery store lineup and wonder why the scale stalls. The secret isn't a single miracle food. It's the absence of specific whole foods that quietly nudge your body toward burning fat. Foods that stoke thermogenesis, blunt insulin spikes, lengthen satiety, feed a healthy microbiome, or convert into resistant starch that fuels fat-burning pathways. Today, I'm counting down 12 accessible fat-burning superfoods you can start using this week. Each one works through a different physiological route, and each one stacks with the others to create a real, measurable effect over time. Important note up front, these foods are tools. Scientific studies show modest but consistent effects in humans. None of them is a guaranteed standalone solution for rapid weight loss. Think compounding nudges, not magic. Quick science primer. There are at least 5 distinct ways a single food can help shift the balance away from fat storage and toward fat oxidation. It can increase diet-induced thermogenesis, essentially turning up your internal furnace for a bit after you eat. It can improve insulin sensitivity or blunt post-meal blood sugar spikes, which reduces the drive to store calories as fat. It can increase satiety so you naturally eat less. It can provide fermentable fibers or resistant starch that feed beneficial gut microbes and signal the body toward fat-burning pathways. And it can alter nutrient absorption or gene expression tied to fat metabolism. Over weeks and months, these small mechanisms compound. I'll flag study types and limitations as we go, suggest practical serving ideas you can actually use tonight, and point out safety or medication interactions where relevant. If you want more evidence-based food hacks like this, hit like and subscribe. I put research-first tips in every video. Let's count down from 12 to 1, starting with a spicy wake-up call. Gaga 12. Chili peppers, thermogenesis and appetite suppression. One-sentence headline. The capsaicin in chili peppers turns up short-term calorie burn and slightly reduces hunger after meals. What's happening? Capsaicin, the compound that makes peppers hot, stimulates the sympathetic nervous system and increases what researchers call diet-induced thermogenesis, a small rise in energy expenditure after eating. It also appears to act on gut and brain pathways involved in appetite, producing a mild suppression of hunger in some people. Human trials typically show modest increases in calorie burn, on the order of single-digit percentage points for a few hours, and modest reductions in reported appetite. These are not huge effects on their own, but repeated use over time can tilt daily energy balance. Evidence note: a number of controlled human trials and acute feeding studies have found these effects. Most are short-term and sample sizes vary. Animal models help explain mechanisms, but the human data are where the practical effects show up. How to use it: add fresh or dried chili to stir-fries, eggs, soups, and salsas. A simple trick: a pinch of cayenne in a warm cup of water or lemon water in the morning can be a quick metabolic nudge. If you cook Thai or Mexican style, use the chilies naturally in the recipe rather than huge, isolated doses. Culinary heat tends to be more tolerable and sustainable. Caution: capsaicin can aggravate acid reflux, gastritis, or hemorrhoids for sensitive people, and can irritate skin or eyes if handled carelessly. Start small if you're not used to spicy food. If you have gastrointestinal conditions, check with your clinician. Stick around. Next up is a citrus fruit that has been used in weight trials and comes with an important medication interaction warning. 11. Grapefruit. Insulin modulation and meal displacement. One-sentence headline: grapefruit may help lower post-meal insulin response and acts as a low-calorie, filling pre-meal option, but it can interact with certain medications. What's happening? Grapefruit contains flavonoids such as naringenin and loads of vitamin C. These compounds can modestly influence carbohydrate metabolism and how the liver handles lipids. Practically, eating grapefruit as a starter or as a pre-meal snack can reduce calorie intake, and blunt the post-meal glucose and insulin spike in some people. In controlled human trials, people who ate half a grapefruit before meals sometimes lost more weight than those who didn't, though study sizes and designs vary. Evidence note: the weight-related findings come from small human trials and pilot studies, so interpret effect sizes cautiously. The metabolic signals are plausible and supported by mechanistic research, but not all studies are consistent. How to use it? Eat half a fresh grapefruit before lunch or dinner, or squeeze grapefruit slices into a salad dressing. The bitterness helps slow intake, and the water content fills your stomach without many calories. Caution: grapefruit and grapefruit juice can interfere with enzymes that metabolize many prescription drugs, notably some statins, blood pressure medications, and others. If you take regular medication, check for interactions with your pharmacist or doctor before making grapefruit a daily habit. Microhook: if grapefruit helps you eat less and change insulin dynamics, the next item rewires how your body handles stored fat at the genetic and signaling level. And you can get it frozen from the supermarket. 10. Blueberries. Polyphenols that tune fat metabolism and glycemic impact. One-sentence headline: anthocyanin-rich blueberries appear to tweak gene expression related to fat metabolism and lower the glycemic impact of meals. What's happening? Blueberries are dense in anthocyanins and other polyphenols that interact with cellular signaling pathways tied to lipid metabolism and insulin sensitivity. In animal models, these compounds change the expression of genes involved in fat oxidation and reduce fat accumulation. Human studies, ranging from observational cohorts to short-term dietary interventions, suggest improved insulin sensitivity and a smaller glucose rise when blueberries are included with higher carb meals. The benefits are usually modest, but consistent enough to justify making them a routine part of meals. Evidence note: much of the mechanistic detail comes from animal and cell studies. Human trials are smaller and tend to show moderate effects on insulin and lipid markers. Observational data support a link between berry consumption and better metabolic health, but those studies can't prove causation. How to use it? Keep a bag of frozen blueberries handy for smoothies, yogurt bowls, or oatmeal. One serving is roughly half to 1 cup. Toss a handful into a midday yogurt or blend them into a low-sugar smoothie to lower the overall glycemic load of that snack. Caution: watch added sugars. Blueberry jams or sweetened dried berries undo much of the benefit. If you're carb tracking, account for the natural sugars in fruit within your meal plan. Mini hook. Next is a spice that literally talks to your blood sugar by slowing digestion and improving insulin response. And the right type matters for safety. Number 9. Cinnamon slows gastric emptying and nudges insulin sensitivity. One-sentence headline: cinnamon, especially Ceylon type, may modestly improve post-meal glucose control and helps food feel more satisfying longer. What's happening? The active compound cinnamaldehyde and related constituents in cinnamon influence glucose metabolism by slowing gastric emptying, meaning your stomach sends food into the intestines more slowly, and by enhancing cellular responses to insulin in some studies. These effects lead to blunted post-meal blood sugar spikes and longer-lasting feelings of fullness. Several human trials and meta-analyses suggest small improvements in fasting glucose and postprandial measures with cinnamon-containing meals, though results depend on cinnamon type, dose, and participant health status. Evidence note: human trials show variable effects and differ in cinnamon species used. Many clinical researchers caution against high intakes of cassia cinnamon due to coumarin content linked to liver risk in susceptible individuals. Ceylon cinnamon has much lower coumarin levels. How to use it? Sprinkle Ceylon cinnamon on coffee, oatmeal, Greek yogurt, or cottage cheese. It's an easy way to add flavor that can reduce the urge for sweeter toppings. Caution: Don't overconsume cinnamon in large powder doses every day for long periods. Choose Ceylon if you plan frequent use. People with liver disease should consult a clinician before regular high intake. Transition teas. The next item is not a spice at all, but a whole food protein powerhouse that preserves lean mass and keeps hunger in check. 8. Greek yogurt. High protein base plus probiotics for satiety and gut support. One sentence headline: plain Greek yogurt supplies concentrated protein to preserve muscle and probiotics to support gut diversity, both important for a metabolism that prefers burning fat. What's happening? Protein is the most satiating macronutrient. It preserves lean tissue during calorie deficits and increases the thermic effect of food, the energy cost of digestion. Greek-style yogurt is strained, so per cup it contains more protein than regular yogurt. Many plain varieties also contain live cultures that support microbial diversity, which is increasingly recognized as a factor in metabolic health. Higher protein breakfasts, including Greek yogurt, have been shown in randomized human trials to reduce subsequent calorie intake and improve appetite control. Evidence note: human intervention studies consistently find that higher protein breakfasts increase satiety and reduce daily calorie intake in short to medium-term trials. The probiotic effects depend on strain, product, and individual microbiomes. Evidence is promising but not definitive for every product. How to use it? Choose plain, unsweetened Greek yogurt and add your own toppings: a half cup of frozen blueberries, a sprinkle of Ceylon cinnamon, or a tablespoon of chopped almonds. 1 cup is a practical serving. For non-dairy eaters, strained high-protein plant yogurts are an alternative, though protein amounts vary. Caution: watch for added sugars and flavored varieties marketed as low-fat but loaded with sweeteners. Dairy allergies or lactose intolerance make yogurt unsuitable for some people. Consider lactose-free or dairy-free high-protein swaps if needed. Microhook. Speaking of nuts, the next entry is a small handful with a surprisingly big effect on appetite and calorie bioavailability. Number 7. Almonds. Satiety, lowered calorie absorption, and insulin-friendly minerals. One sentence headline: almonds deliver filling protein and fiber, and their natural structure limits how many calories your body actually absorbs compared with what's on the label. What's happening? Almonds are high in protein, fiber, and healthy fats, and they require chewing, which slows eating and increases satiety signals. Beyond that, controlled feeding studies have shown almonds' intact cell walls can trap some of the oils inside the nut, meaning measured calorie uptake is lower than calories on nutrition labels estimate. Almonds also provide magnesium, a mineral involved in glucose metabolism and insulin action. Evidence note: randomized, controlled, and crossover human feeding studies have demonstrated improved satiety and modest reductions in subsequent calorie intake when almonds are included as a snack or pre-meal. Research measuring actual metabolizable energy from almonds shows lower bioavailability than predicted. Sample sizes were moderate, and feeding control matters in these designs. How to use it? A sensible portion is about 20 to 23 almonds, roughly a small handful. Eat them before a meal to reduce hunger, add them to a salad for crunch, or blend into a yogurt bowl. Choose whole, raw, or dry roasted, without added sugars or excessive oils. Caution: nuts are a top allergen. Also, be mindful of portion size. While almonds can reduce calorie intake later, they're calorie-dense and easy to overconsume if mindlessly snacking. Mini hook. Next, we move into cruciferous territory, a vegetable with a compound that influences fat storage genes and supports liver function. Number 6. Broccoli. Sulforaphane, fiber, and liver-supportive nutrients. One sentence headline: broccoli supplies sulforaphane and fiber that can influence fat storage signaling and support detox pathways, helping metabolic balance. What's happening? Broccoli and other cruciferous vegetables contain glucosinolates that convert into sulforaphane when chopped and chewed. Sulforaphane has been studied for its effects on cellular antioxidant pathways, detox enzymes, and, in both animal models and preliminary human research, markers related to fat metabolism and insulin sensitivity. The fiber in broccoli also contributes to fullness and helps stabilize blood sugar. Together, these properties support a metabolic environment that favors fat oxidation over storage. Evidence note: mechanistic data are strong in cell and animal models, and emerging human trials suggest beneficial changes in metabolic markers when crucifers are regularly consumed. Most human trials are small and short-term, so results should be interpreted as promising rather than definitive. How to use it? Lightly steam broccoli to preserve sulforaphane-forming enzymes. Overcooking can blunt the effect. Eat 1–2 cups as a side, add to stir-fries, or toss raw into salads for crunch. For better sulforaphane formation, chop it and let it sit a few minutes before cooking. Caution: cruciferous vegetables may increase gas for some people. Those on thyroid medication should discuss very large intakes of raw crucifers with their clinician, as high amounts can affect iodine utilization in sensitive individuals. You're already halfway through the list, and we've covered spicy thermogenics, citrus insulin tricks, berry polyphenols, metabolism-friendly spices, protein-rich dairy, appetite-reducing nuts, and cruciferous gene modulators. Each of these foods is something you can add without a major diet overhaul. Simple swaps, small portions, repeated over time. Coming up in the next segment are the top 5 items, including a tuber that becomes a resistant starch powerhouse after cooking and cooling, a brewed beverage that pairs catechins with caffeine to boost fat oxidation, and the leafy champion that, in at least one controlled setting, produced a measurable bump in metabolic efficiency. Those top picks are where the cumulative strategy gets most intense, so don't go anywhere. We'll pick up with a comfort food favorite that's also a smart metabolic move. Number 5, sweet potatoes. Resistant starch, fiber, and steady energy release. One-sentence headline: when cooked and cooled, sweet potatoes turn into a resistant starch ally that feeds gut microbes, blunts blood sugar spikes, and nudges the body toward burning fat. What's happening? Sweet potatoes deliver fiber, complex carbs, and when prepared the right way, resistant starch. A form of starch that resists digestion in the small intestine and instead ferments in the colon. That fermentation produces short-chain fatty acids like butyrate, which signal the body toward better insulin sensitivity and increased fat oxidation in some studies. Resistant starch also slows digestion, so glucose enters the bloodstream more gently and you stay fuller longer. In practical terms, a cooked and cooled sweet potato can have a very different metabolic effect than one eaten immediately after baking. Evidence note: human feeding trials show that resistant starch can improve insulin sensitivity and increase satiety in short to medium-term studies. Much of the mechanistic work comes from controlled human and animal studies that measured fermentation products and metabolic markers. Effects are modest per meal, but consistent enough to make the cook and cool trick worthwhile for people trying to stabilize blood sugar and appetite. How to use it: bake or roast a medium sweet potato. Let it cool in the fridge for several hours or overnight, and either eat it cold in a salad or reheat gently. A sensible serving is 1/2 to 1 medium sweet potato. Try cubing a cooled sweet potato and tossing it with black beans, a squeeze of lime, chopped cilantro, and a pinch of chili for a filling side or lunch. If you reheat, do so at low temperature to keep some resistant starch intact. Caution: sweet potatoes are a healthy carbohydrate, but portions matter if you're tracking carbs for a specific plan. People with diabetes should account for the carbohydrate content and monitor blood glucose responses. If you have a fructose intolerance or certain digestive conditions, test tolerance slowly. Stick with me. Next is a brewed companion you may already drink. It mixes catechins and caffeine to give you a nudge toward greater fat oxidation. Number 4. Green tea, catechins plus caffeine for amplified fat oxidation. One sentence headline: green tea's catechin EGCG combined with caffeine has been linked in trials to modest increases in fat oxidation and resting energy expenditure. What's happening? Green tea contains a class of polyphenols called catechins. The most studied is EGCG. When EGCG pairs with caffeine, naturally present in tea, they appear to act synergistically to increase fat oxidation, the proportion of energy burned from fat, and slightly raise resting metabolic rate in short-term human studies. The mechanism involves increased signaling to fat-burning pathways and mild stimulation of the nervous system. For most people, drinking several cups of properly brewed green tea can contribute a measurable but modest boost in how the body uses fat for fuel. Evidence note: multiple human trials and meta-analyses report small increases in fat oxidation and energy expenditure with green tea extracts or brewed tea, often in acute or short-term settings. Effects vary by individual caffeine sensitivity, habitual caffeine intake, and whether the study used concentrated extracts versus brewed tea. Some trials are controlled, others are observational. Interpret the size and duration of effects accordingly. How to use it: steep, high-quality green tea at the right temperature, not boiling, for 2 to 3 minutes to preserve flavor and nutrients. Aim for 2 to 3 cups a day, spread between meals to avoid caffeine late in the day. Matcha contains concentrated catechins and is an easy way to get more EGCG if you tolerate caffeine. For a lower caffeine option, try a half matcha scoop mixed into warm water or milk alternative in the morning. Caution: green tea contains caffeine. Avoid excess intake if you're sensitive, pregnant, or taking stimulants. High-dose EGCG supplements have been associated with rare liver effects in some reports. We're talking concentrated supplements, not normal brewed tea. If you take medications that interact with caffeine or hepatic metabolism, ask your clinician before starting a high intake. Mini teas. Coming up at number 3 is a breakfast staple that reliably reduces hunger and preserves muscle. The kind of food that sets the tone for the whole day. Number 3. Eggs, complete protein, choline, and long-lasting satiety. One sentence headline: eggs offer high-quality protein and choline that support muscle preservation, appetite control, and day-long energy balance when used as a regular breakfast. What's happening? Eggs are a compact source of complete protein and micronutrients like choline, which supports metabolic processes in the liver and muscles. Protein at breakfast increases the thermic effect of food, raises satiety hormones, and reduces hunger later in the day. Preserving lean mass through adequate protein is a key component of maintaining a higher resting metabolic rate during weight loss. Eating whole eggs rather than egg whites alone also provides fats that slow digestion and help you feel satisfied. Evidence note: randomized trials comparing higher protein breakfasts, including eggs, to lower protein options consistently show reduced calorie intake later in the day and greater feelings of fullness over hours. These are human feeding studies and controlled trials with short to medium-term follow-ups. Cholesterol effects vary by individual. Population-level data suggest eggs can be part of a healthy diet for most people, but individual risk factors should guide choices. How to use it: make eggs part of a balanced breakfast. 2 whole eggs scrambled with a big handful of spinach and a few chopped tomatoes, or a hard-boiled egg paired with a bowl of Greek yogurt and berries for a protein-rich start. If you prefer convenience, hard-boiled eggs keep well for a few days in the fridge. Aim for 1 to 2 whole eggs at breakfast as a practical serving. Caution: Egg allergy is common in some people. If you have a diagnosed allergy, avoid eggs. People with specific lipid concerns should talk to their healthcare provider about egg intake in the context of their overall diet. Also, frying eggs in lots of butter or oil increases calories substantially. Choose lighter cooking methods for frequent consumption. Transition. The runner-up on our list is a fruit that's not only creamy and delicious, it's dense in monounsaturated fat and fiber, a combination linked to lower visceral fat in some studies. Number 2. Avocado. Monounsaturated fats, fiber, and nutrient absorption. One-sentence headline: avocado combines monounsaturated fat and fiber to increase satiety, support healthy lipids, and help the body use nutrients efficiently, all factors that favor a leaner body composition over time. What's happening? Avocado's fat profile is rich in monounsaturated fatty acids, which are associated in studies with better lipid profiles and metabolic health when they replace refined carbohydrates or saturated fats. The fiber and creamy texture slow gastric emptying and promote fullness. Avocado also enhances the absorption of fat-soluble nutrients from vegetables, making meals more nutrient-dense per bite. The sum of these effects supports appetite regulation and metabolic balance, useful attributes for anyone trying to lose weight sustainably. Evidence note: observational studies link regular avocado consumers to lower body weight measures and better diet quality. Intervention trials show increased satiety and improved lipid markers when avocados replace other fats or calorie sources. Most human studies are short to medium term and control for total calories. Associations are promising, but not proof of causation on their own. How to use it? A practical serving is about half a medium avocado per day. Add slices to salads, mash with lime for a simple guacamole to pair with vegetables, or spread thinly on whole grain toast alongside eggs. If you're tracking calories, account for the energy density. Avocado is filling, but not calorie-free. Caution: while very nutritious, avocados are calorie-dense and can add up if eaten in large quantities. Avocado allergy exists, but is uncommon. If you take blood-thinning medications, avocado isn't a major vitamin K source like leafy greens, but always check with your clinician about diet changes if you're on medication. Hold on. The number 1 pick is the leafy green that surprised researchers. It combines volume, nitrates, and unique plant compounds that together can influence satiety and exercise efficiency. 1. Spinach, nitrates, thylakoids, and a big volume, low-calorie champion. One-sentence headline: spinach delivers nitrates and thylakoid-containing leaf structures that can increase exercise efficiency, extend satiety, and, under specific trial conditions, produce a measurable bump in metabolic efficiency. What's happening? Spinach is rich in dietary nitrates, which in some studies improve blood flow and muscle efficiency during exercise, potentially increasing the calories burned for a given workload. Spinach also contains thylakoids, plant membrane structures that have been studied for their appetite-suppressing effects by slowing fat digestion and enhancing satiety hormones in some human trials. Because spinach is very low in calories but high in volume and nutrients, it helps people feel full while keeping total meal calories down. Evidence note: a small, controlled human trial using concentrated thylakoid extract reported measurable improvements in satiety and a near 5% increase in resting metabolic or exercise-related efficiency in a specific setting. That was a controlled, relatively small study and used a concentrated preparation. Other human trials on dietary nitrates show improved exercise economy and some metabolic benefits, but outcomes vary by participant fitness, dose, and study design. In short, the evidence is promising but context-dependent. How to use it? Pack your plate with 1 to 3 cups of raw spinach or 1 cup cooked as a base for salads, smoothies and omelettes. Try a spinach and egg scramble at breakfast, a spinach-heavy salad with avocado and almonds for lunch, or a side of wilted spinach with garlic and lemon at dinner. If you prefer smoothies, blend a couple of handfuls into a morning smoothie with Greek yogurt and frozen blueberries for a nutrient-dense, low-calorie start. Caution: spinach is high in vitamin K, which can affect people taking warfarin, blood thinners. So discuss intake with your clinician if you're on such medication. Spinach also contains oxalates, which may be a consideration for people prone to certain kidney stones. If you have digestive sensitivity, increase raw spinach gradually. Micro-wrap. That finishes the 12-food countdown. Each of these foods nudges the body in a slightly different direction. Some increase the fire under your metabolism. Some blunt the insulin spikes that favor fat storage. Some make you feel full longer, and some feed the microbes that support fat-burning chemistry. How to stack and build a week that actually works. Small choices add up when they're consistent. Instead of trying to eat all 12 every day, pick 2 or 3 that fit your meals and habits and make them non-negotiable for a week. Here are practical stacks you can rotate. Breakfast stack for satiety and metabolic steadiness. 2 whole eggs scrambled with a big handful of spinach, a side of half an avocado, and a cup of green tea. Why it works: protein preserves muscle and increases thermogenesis. Spinach adds volume and nitrates. Avocado adds healthy fats for satiety. Green tea adds a gentle metabolic nudge. Midday stability stack. A cooled sweet potato diced into a salad with chopped broccoli, a few almonds on the side, and a small serving of plain Greek yogurt mixed with frozen blueberries for dessert. Why it works: resistant starch plus fiber stabilizes blood sugar. Almonds and Greek yogurt reduce later hunger. Blueberries add polyphenols that favor metabolic signaling. Snack or pre-meal strategy: a small handful of almonds or a hard-boiled egg or a half cup of Greek yogurt with cinnamon and a few blueberries before a bigger meal to curb overeating. Alternately, half a grapefruit before a meal can blunt an insulin surge for some people. Just check medication interactions first. Evening comfort swap: roasted broccoli and a chili-scented tomato sauce over a modest portion of cooled and reheated sweet potato, with a side of lightly dressed spinach salad. Why it works: cruciferous compounds plus capsaicin and resistant starch create multiple mechanisms toward satiety and fat oxidation. Sample 3-day plan. Simple, repeatable. Day 1, breakfast: 2 eggs with spinach, half an avocado, green tea. Lunch: grilled chicken salad with mixed greens, cooled sweet potato cubes, a small handful of almonds. Snack: plain Greek yogurt with frozen blueberries and a sprinkle of Ceylon cinnamon. Dinner: stir-fried broccoli with a chili lime sauce, brown rice, small portion, extra spinach tossed in. Day 2, breakfast: Greek yogurt bowl with blueberries and chopped almonds, green tea. Lunch: tuna or bean salad with half a grapefruit, if no medication interactions, spinach and avocado. Snack: hard-boiled egg and a few raw almonds. Dinner: baked sweet potato, cooled then gently reheated, roasted broccoli, tomato salsa with chopped chili. Day 3, breakfast: omelette with spinach and a light sprinkle of cheese, green tea. Lunch: leftover cooled sweet potato salad with beans, broccoli and avocado. Snack: small handful of almonds or a cup of plain Greek yogurt. Dinner: stir-fry with lean protein, chili peppers and a side of raw spinach salad. Practical tips for success: make one swap at a time. Add a high-protein breakfast or replace a refined snack with Greek yogurt and blueberries. Small habit changes stick longer than sweeping overhauls. Prep in batches. Roast a tray of sweet potatoes, steam broccoli, and hard-boil eggs early in the week to reduce friction. Track the right variables. Focus on energy, sleep quality, hunger, how clothes fit, and weekly trends on the scale rather than day-to-day fluctuations. Combine food changes with resistance training and enough sleep. Muscle maintenance is crucial for sustaining metabolic rate during weight loss. Be mindful of portions for energy-dense items, almonds, avocado, and balance them across the day. What to realistically expect? These foods are tools that produce modest evidence-based nudges. In some trials, individual foods showed measurable small percentage changes in metabolic markers or short-term energy expenditure. In others, they improved appetite control or insulin responses. That means you shouldn't expect dramatic same-week scale changes for every person. Instead, expect subtle shifts. Fewer cravings, steadier energy, slightly smaller portions without hunger, and over weeks to months, a cumulative effect on body composition when combined with calorie awareness, movement, and sleep. Remember, study results vary. Some findings come from small human trials, some from acute feeding studies, and some mechanistic work is in animals or cell models. I highlight those distinctions because context matters. What helps in a controlled lab setting may translate differently at home. Still, the consistency across dietary patterns and many small trials supports the practical use of these foods as part of a sustainable plan. Safety and medical considerations. Short, important note. This video provides general information, not medical advice. If you take prescription medications, especially blood thinners, statins, or drugs metabolized by liver enzymes, or if you have conditions like diabetes, pregnancy, kidney disease, or a known food allergy, check with your healthcare provider before making significant dietary changes. Grapefruit, for example, can interact with medications. Spinach is high in vitamin K, and concentrated supplements of compounds like green tea, EGCG, have different safety profiles than brewed tea. When in doubt, consult your clinician or pharmacist. A realistic challenge to get started. Here's a 2-week challenge. Pick 2 or 3 foods from this list that fit your routine and commit to adding them to daily meals for 14 days. Keep a 1-line daily log. Energy, better, same, worse. Hunger between meals, less, same, more. And 1 non-scale win, clothes, mood, workouts. After 2 weeks, review the pattern. The goal is not instant transformation. It's to create repeatable, low-friction habits that tilt your energy balance in a measurable way. Closing, and one final ask. If you try this challenge, tell us in the comments which 2 or 3 foods you picked and what you noticed after a week. If this video gave you practical, evidence-informed ideas, subscribe for more real-world food strategies grounded in research. And quick reminder, this is general information. Check with your healthcare provider for personalized advice if you have health conditions or take medications. You came for the 12 fat-burning superfoods. Now you've got a practical playbook. Try 2 or 3 this week, watch for the small wins, and let those gains compound. Which one surprised you the most? Drop it in the comments, and I'll see you in the next video.